All right, so our group decided to do an e-garden. This system simulates it's scaled down, but it simulates a full day with half the time sunlight, half the time darkness, and we have a moisture sensor that senses the moisture of the soil. So when the plants need water and nutrients, the system rotates and water valves open, waters the whole system. I think we had a lot bigger ideas to be a little more complex, but simpler the better when we got into it. It got to be a little harder than we thought, but Mr. Giovanelli did me and him worked on a lot of the physical structure. Ms. Sparks and Mr. Beck did a lot of the programming, so I'll let them talk about each thing they did.
So when we started building this, we basically just had a big giant sheet of plywood and a circular piece of plywood. So we came up with the system to hold the weight, sort of like a bearing. We actually used a trash can dolly to support the weight of the dirt and the plants. And we originally had our servo motor in the front here mounted directly underneath, which is why this is raised in the first place. We just used 2x6s to raise the platform. We were going to mount it directly, but the motor didn't have enough torque to drive the system slow enough. So we used a chain system and a smaller gear to rotate the entire thing off to the side. We also built this to hold our water tanks, and we have a piping system through an electronically controlled valve that goes out to a sprinkler system. It's just a pipe with holes drilled into it, supported by a piece of angle iron. And we have our shaft in the center that keeps the whole thing centralized, and we have wires ran up to a conductive slip ring. The slip ring allows us to have our sensor in the dirt and the spin without wires getting wrapped up and twisted or broken. So then those wires go down to the Arduino in the back. We use this angle iron to support the conductive slip ring and the LCD display. And then these just had a convenient clamp for the light. Yeah, we mounted this SCR board in the back. It's kind of like a relay board. It takes a low voltage signal and controls a higher voltage, higher current circuit. All right, Shauna, would you like to tell them about the program?
Sure. So that SCR board lets us turn on several things with just a small amount of current. So we've got it set to trigger the motor to spin whenever the valves are open for it to water. And then one also triggers the lights, and that's on its own little time loop. And the code was on an Arduino Uno. It was kind of tricky getting everything, each individual piece to work all in one code. So that was a lot of trial and error and consultation from several different people. Matt got the motor code started, and I kind of took off from there, and we collaborated from there on out. And Donald, Mr. Philbeck over there, he was my consultant. He helped us out a lot. But Beck also got the 3D printer piece that we had, so here he is with that.
At first, we were actually going to have a little mount for this LCD, and we were going to put it up here or something, and I was going to 3D print that. But we figured out that it probably wouldn't work out too well, so I just printed out a little 3D sign that says State Tech and eGarden. But as Shauna said, I also helped with the motor programming, and yeah, I'm going to take this back.
Yeah, so I think, like I said initially, had more complex ideas, maybe 3 or 4 stations to stop and check moisture in multiple spots. But for this small of a system, the moisture is pretty much the same throughout, so it wouldn't really work out that well. And we kind of started to learn the less sensors, the better. So I think we're going to power it up and let it run one cycle. It actually takes a little over 5 minutes to simulate one day. We got it scaled down, so You guys can fire it up. It says soil okay. I'm gonna have to find a dry. Our soil got a little bit too much moisture with testing, so.
You have to reset it. Try to reset it. See if it's dry enough.
So the LCD actually displays like soil okay or time to water, and like it says light it up when the lights turn on. So
You just happen to have some dry soil over here. Try to trigger it with that.
you might just have to shove that in there so it doesn't hit the. There we go. So we've got our 2 tanks one has just water, one has fertilizer. So they kind of coincide through the same plumbing.
And so this guy is a little bit uneven, and we've tried several different things to get it to have more uniform flow, but
Now it says soil okay, so I guess we got enough moisture down in our dry dirt to stop it. And it also, our LCD, we have a temperature sensor towards the back that displays temperature. And so that cycle, the date or the nighttime cycle is when the water will run with the motor.
so
And then
trying to get it coded to have the lights kick on right after the water wasn't working well. Sometimes it just gets finicky and doesn't want to work. So we had to time it to have a delay with the lights off first, and then the lights will kick on, and then it worked with that. So
in roughly a minute and a half, 2 minutes, the lights will come on for the same time that they're off. So it's 2.5, we simulate it down to 5 minutes, 2.5 minutes off, 2.5 minutes on. So.